Hey math students, so today we are working on finding the area of complex shapes. So as you can see right here, we're going to start out with just this simple problem that says, what is the area of the blue rectangle? So as we take a look at this, here is our blue rectangle, and we have some empty space here in our blue rectangle. And so this is a little bit of a complex problem because we have to kind of backwards think here and think about I'm not calculating just the area of this square. I have to remove the yellow shapes from the total area of the square, or the rectangle in this case, in order to find the area of just the blue rectangle. So I'm looking at just all the blue here. So this has several steps. The first step is maybe I want to find the area of just the total area of my shape, which would include all of my yellow shapes as well. So I see that this has a length of 18 meters and a height of 20 meters. So what do I do with those two numbers? Well, I know that area equals length times width. And so I have a length of 18 meters and I have a width of 20 meters. So I'm going to say my area equals 18 meters times 20 meters. And of course, you know that this is how area works. And so I'm going to do 18 times 20. I want to show you how to use area to figure that out. So I'm going to have some space over here on the side. So if this is my blue rectangle over here, and this is, of course, 18 meters, and this is 20 meters. I think about, I can break this 18 up into an easier problem. So instead of saying 18, I want to say that this is 10 plus 8, because 10 plus 8, of course, is 18. And I can do the multiplication on 10 and 8 much faster in my head. So I'm doing 20. So this particular rectangle that I broke this up into, this would be 20 times 10. And of course, I know that 2 times 1 is obviously 2. So 20 times 10 is going to be 200. So the area of this space is 200. And then over here in this particular space, so the second rectangle here in the green is still 20 meters by 8. So I know that 2 times 8 is 16. So 20 times 8 is going to be 160. So the area of this is 160 square meters. So now I'm going to take my 200, add it to my 160. So that's going to be 200 plus 160. So I just took my larger rectangle, broke it up into two smaller ones, and now I'm adding them together. So 200 plus 160, I know that 200 and 100 is 300, plus 60 is 360. So the area, the total area of the whole thing is going to be 360 meters squared, or square meters. So now I need to take that and subtract from that the area, each area of the yellow. So I know that this is going to be one of the areas that I'm subtracting from the blue rectangle. So I know that this is a 9 by 9 square. So the area is, of course, length times width. So the area is going to be 9 times 9. So 9 is the length and 9 is the width, or the height in this case. I know that 9 times 9 is 81. So the area of this square is 81 meters squared. Now, what do I do with that 81? Well, I'm subtracting that from the whole rectangle here, the whole square. So since I'm subtracting that, I'm going to take my 360 over here on the side, because 360, remember, is the area of everything. And I want to subtract this area. So I'm going to subtract 81. And of course, I know that here that I need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from my 6 which is going to make that 5. 10 minus 1 is 9. And then, of course, 35 minus 8 is 27. So what's left is 279 meters squared, or square meters. Now I have this triangle here that I need to figure something out with. So this is what makes this a little bit more complex. I'm going to take my triangle and I want to break this up into 2 smaller triangles to make this a little bit easier. So I know that my whole thing is 9 meters. My whole length here is 9 meters across the base. So my base is 9, but if I'm breaking this up into 2 smaller rectangles like this, I know that the base is going to be half of that. So this is going to be 4.5 or 4.5 meters, and this is 4.5 or 4.5 meters. And then, of course, I know that if I extend this out like so, that really this is just a rectangle. So I'm going to take this rectangle, which is 4.5 across, and it is 7 meters high, as you can see here. It's already labeled for us. And so I know that 4.5 times 7, because that would be the area of the whole thing, is going to be 31.5 or 31 and a half. Well, I know that if I take this rectangle, this triangle, that would fill in this space here because it's the same shape, same dimensions. And so truly, I can take my rectangle and I can just say, well, let's just figure out what my 9 times 7 is. And of course, 9 times 7 is 63. And so the area of this rectangle would be 63 meters squared. Well, if I take half of that, that's 31 and a half. And then I would do the same thing over here, where I would take my full rectangle, divide it in half because it's a triangle, and that's half of the rectangle. And this would also be 31 and a half meters squared. And I know that if I add 31 and a half plus 31 and a half, I'm going to get a total of, let's see, 30 and 30 is 60, 1 and 1 is 2, and then a half is 1. So that would be 63 meters, which is what I got when I just calculated the full rectangle. So now I'm going to subtract that, remember, from my total, because I'm wanting to know the blue area, not the yellow area. So I subtract 63 square meters from what I have left after I subtracted this square. So of course, 9 minus 3 is going to be 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. And then I bring my 2 down, which tells me that the area of just the blue is going to be 216 square meters, or meters squared. I hope this helped. This will help you be able to apply this then to today's work and today's assignment. Have a wonderful rest of the day. If you have any questions about this, please reach out to me, let me know, and get the help that you need.